welcome everyone. Thank you for joining the 2021 AGM. Hopefully you can all see my screen. If I can get a thumbs up from Rhys, that'd be great. Thank you. Yeah, my name is James Burton. For anyone who doesn't know me, I am the current interim UKOSF CEO. I will chair today's AGM. I'm just going to quickly run through a few technical considerations. Can I get you all, please, and this includes any volunteers as well, just to type your full name in the notes, introduce yourself. This is just so we can record it for the minutes. And if there's two of you on the same video call, just do the same thing, please. If at any point you run into any issues joining, please post on the members Facebook group, or so if you come off from a technical issue perspective, or you can email membership@ukosf.org. I think you've all been made aware, but please also note that this webinar is being recorded. Finally, you've all been muted on entry. If you can stay on mute unless you're raising a question, that would be appreciated. Obviously, there's a lot of us on here, so we just need to kind of just let the person speaking cover their stuff. All right. Our quorum is 30 members. We're a little bit nervous for a bit, but we are up to over 50 participants. So I can report we have more than 30 members present. Therefore, quorum is met. We can start this AGM. Just want to start by outlining the mission that we've worked on this year, and hopefully you'll see this throughout the slides we're going to share today. Our mission is to ensure that everyone in the UK can enjoy the endless possibilities of obstacle sports. And there's a full spectrum that we're going to cover today. So yeah, I do hope you enjoy what we cover. Agenda, we're going to jump into a board update from Oner. Then we will cover the formal AGM resolutions that everyone has been voting on, open to the floor for any questions. We will then cover some appointments and changes within the board. We will then stop for a very brief adjournment, and this will be the official AGM business completed. We will then go into kind of some presentations from the team, some additional business items in terms of recognition update and rules of the sport we've been working on, updates from the various committees that have been created and been working since we've last spoke on the last year AGM. We'll then cover the AGM resolution ballot results. They may be provisional, but we hope to pull those together from the deadline of 8:15 p.m. We'll then open to a Q&A from members, and then we'll just talk about 22 and beyond. Okay, I'm delighted to hand over to Oner Avara, Chair of the Board.
Thank you, James. And also thank you very much, everyone, for joining us today at our third AGM. The national governing bodies and international federations exist with their members. Without you, we wouldn't be here and this wouldn't happen. Just want to thank Ian Adamson, the president of World Obstacle, who gave us the opportunity to create the UK Obstacle Sports Federation, where we all share the same passion and common goal of becoming an Olympic sport. Before I go any further, I just want to generally describe the purpose of the international and national federations. The responsibilities of the international federations, okay. The responsibilities of the international federations are to regularize and standardize the rules of their respective sports, and also to cover the legislation, organization, and development of the said sports. National governing bodies are fully responsible and accountable for the overall management, direction, control, regulation, promotion, development, and sponsorship of the discipline for which they are recognized by the concerned international federation. Now, we also have, on the other hand, there is another organization called UKOSF, Global Association of International Sports Federation, and our observer status within this organization as World Obstacle. The GAFES is the umbrella federation that assembles both Olympic and non-Olympic international sports federations, as well as the organizers of the international sporting events. So why is it important to become a member of GAFES as an international federation? Well, the relationship between these organizations and the structure within each organization works in a way that the obstacle sports and the participants keep developing, sharing knowledge, and increasing the momentum of gaining more participants. So in a nutshell, if we want to become an Olympic sport, we have to become a member of GAFES. So in order to get this entire international federations and the GAFES structure working within the national level, national governing body level as UKOSF, we have to comply with our national regulations, because every country has got their own regulations, sports ministry rules and regulations. And we also have to follow the International Federation sport governing rules, as well as encouraging our members in relevant areas such as equality, social responsibility, non-discrimination, climate action, and anti-doping. We also need to get recognized as a national governing body by Sport England. This has been one of our main goals, and our team has been working on it well over a year now. When we started the UKOSF in May 2019, we were on a mission. Our mission was create an organization that managed by the obstacle sports community and members of the UKOSF. Despite the pandemic, we have come a long way in such a short period of time. So our members increased in comparison to last year over 40%. OCR and the Ninja are merged under the UKOSF. We have engaged with several race directors as partners. We are very close to get our insurance covers for our members, development program for coaches and technical officials. We also have adaptive athletes and youth engagement programs, which we'll be talking about, and lots of other developments. I'm sure you all know that running an entity, whether it's a small business or corporate, whether it's commercial or non-profit, it's not easy. The UKOSF management team members, they're all here now, are extremely dedicated, and everyone in the team is doing amazing jobs within their respected roles. We can see over and over that unity and collective effort works well and pays off. Our success is depending on your support and participation, as well as criticism, so that we can always improve. The journey is full of challenges, we all know. We do not promise you to become the best sport federation in the country by next year. What we promise is to give our best effort to make sure you feel included in anything we do within the UK Obstacle Sports Federation, so that we become one. I would like to take this opportunity to say a big thank you to all our management team, volunteers, members, and partners. So thank you. We are better when we are united. Over to you.
Thank you, Oner. And no, delighted to hear the kind of updates, and as you said, we're going to go through in more detail in the later presentations. Click to the next slide. So just wanted to give an update on the federation structure. So we you may have seen this slide and be familiar with this slide, but for anyone who hasn't seen it before, we have now Ninja Sport and Obstacle Course Racing as two distinct technical committees within the federation. We have the business functions, so media, web, etc., that we're working in partnership with, and then we have these joint governance committees that have both Ninja Sport and OCR representation. Throughout this year, we've had the executive committee working extensively in collaboration with the board to develop a number of the tasks and requirements for recognition. Moving forward into this year, as you'll see from the elections, which will be our first elections for our board and technical committees, we're now moving to a structure where actually that executive committee sits within the board. So we kind of remove a level of bureaucracy just to kind of be very efficient in our processes. So that's kind of where you're seeing some of the executive committee move into those board roles and working with the team. So we're now going to move on to AGM resolutions. You've all received these on email. We've got 12 resolutions to go through. This is a fairly formal process, so please bear with us. Thank you for your patience while we kind of complete the necessary proceedings. It's really important that we've got everyone's collective support and buy-in on these. So thank you again for either voting already or voting in the next hour. So yeah, all eligible members have been sent ballot details to your registered email address in order to vote. Note this is the only way to vote, and once your ballot is cast, it cannot be changed. If you have not voted and would like to, then you have until 8:15 p.m. So if you would still like to vote and you haven't voted yet, and you're having technical difficulties or issues, I know Tom Wilson is on here. Please send a direct message to Tom. He'll try and help you get your voter ID and key. If not, you will have an email from UKOSF with those details on. So as I say, you've got until 8:15 p.m. GMT to cast your vote. Okay, resolution 1, approve the minutes of the last AGM held on Wednesday, September 16th, 2020. I'm just going to pause for a second. Please, if you have any questions, any comments or any corrections on the AGM minutes, please do raise those now. Okay, thank you everyone. This is important that we have these documented and approved by our members. These will be shared with our application as well to the UK Sports Councils. Okay, secondly, resolution 2 and resolution 3, approve the UKOSF financial accounts for the financial year 2019 and 20, and approve the UKOSF financial accounts financial year 2021. So gonna pause for a second and introduce Alex Young, our treasurer, who's come in this year. He's going to give a bit of an update on this year, and then we will pause for any kind of questions.
Thanks, James. As James said, I'm Alex Young, and I've looked after the finance function for UKOSF for the last few months, along with Chris Brown. For the year ended 31st of May 2021, the accounts that we need you to approve, UKOSF were able to recognise income of £8,306 during the course of the year, partly thanks to your membership fees. This helped us fund our successful Northern and Southern time trial UKOSF finals, which helped bring together both Ninja and OCR races, as well as support numerous venues which held the time trial events that provided our finalists. The cost of this event was in total £3,281, and this cost is made up of prize money of £1,550 for the top 3 male and female competitors at both venues, hire of the venues at £600, trophies and medals of £851, plus some other sundry expenses of £280. Our other large cost was rec bags. We funded £3,070 rec bags, which were then sold on to members at cost, assisting in improving our members in training smarter and the equipment that they require. Additionally, we have £332 worth of costs in relation to the popular training program for OCR coaches that we have put on. I believe there's a little bit more of that later on. £1,597 of costs relates to the provision that we've included for future expenses that we'll need to spend in order to reach our objectives of becoming a sport, which will enable us to attract funding to take OCR and Ninja forward. Lastly, I'd like to bring your attention to the fact that we were holding £4,348 of your funds in the bank as at 31st of May, again, to assist our transition into a sport. So thank you, and I'll hand back to James.
Thanks, Alex. Yeah, I think we recognise that finance is an important area and an area that we will need to continue to work on in terms of being able to be as transparent as possible with our members. Yeah, please take that on as an action that Alex coming on board this year with Chris will work on to move forward into the future. Just going to pause for any kind of questions or comments before we move to the next resolution. Okay, thank you everyone. Resolution 4, adopt and approve the new UKOSF Articles of Association. This has all been sent by email to everyone in advance of the meeting, as the previous resolutions were. Can I ask if there are any questions or comments? Thank you, everyone. Again, really important document that codifies the Federation. It's the first time we've gone from kind of the model Articles of Association that you'll get as a registered company to very specific detailed Articles of Association for the sport. So this, I would encourage you all, it's a little bit dry, but I encourage you all to understand the Articles of Association. This is where members can actively engage with the Federation, raising resolutions, understanding how to vote people on, how the committees work and how the board works. Resolution 5 to 12, you will notice that some of the people within here already assume these roles. That is kind of internal processes that we've followed up to now. But as you would expect from a national governing body, elections are very important. We need the votes of members, the support of members, and this is very important in terms of that mandate that we're given to kind of fulfill our role. So we have Oner Avara as chair of the UKOSF board, Shahador Roman for the UKOSF board, and myself, James Burton, to the UKOSF board, all for a 2-year term. Shahador and myself would be elected directors, with Oner Avara elected as chair of the board. And we have Ali Hay to the Ninja Sport Technical Committee as chair for the 2-year term. Ali will also be the technical representative on the board for Ninja Sport, with the same voting rights as Shahador, Oner and myself. Beth Lodge would be elected as vice chair of the Ninja Sport Technical Committee, and Henry Cookie as a voting member of the technical committee. Both Beth and Henry can step in for Ali if he is absent from a board meeting to represent Ninja Sport views. And then finally, Becky Neal as chair of the OCR Technical Committee for a 2-year term, and Dave Peters to the OCR Technical Committee as vice chair for a 2-year term. And the same as Ninja Sport, Becky will sit on the board as well with the same voting rights, with Dave as a possible stand-in when required. Can I just ask if there are any questions or comments for those standing for election? Fantastic. Thank you, everyone. I'm now going to hand over briefly to Oner just to talk through some additional business.
Well, as I said, when we founded UKOSF in May 2019, Professor Mike Loosmar had a lot of inputs in our establishment, and he has great experience in sports medical. Is the lead consultant in sport and exercise medicine, and he's the English Institute of Sports lead physician for the south of England, based at the Institute of Sports, Exercise and Health, where he treats elite athletes from a wide range of sports. Mike has traveled extensively with national squads, accompanying teams to Olympics and Commonwealth Games, World and European Championships. He was the chief medical officer for the England Commonwealth Games teams in New Delhi 2010 and Glasgow 2014. Mike has also worked with Team GB boxing since 1997, attending European and World Championships and Commonwealth and Olympic Games. He's currently the doctor to the British boxing and British snow sports park and pipe teams. I mean, there are lots of other things that Mike has. I think he's in the meeting here as well. And we will be getting this from great experience as a non-executive director to our federation.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Thank you, Mike, for joining us officially onto.
I would like to thank him as well on behalf of the entire UKOSF.
And just for reference to everyone on the call, the reason why Mike is appointed rather than elected, it's really important that a non-executive director is independent. Obviously, if you're elected, then you have a requirement to your members, but we really want that outside external viewpoint. So what we as elected directors will be supporting the goals of our members. Professor Mike Loosemore is there for that external viewpoint and experience to really enrich the board. And this is something that is strongly encouraged by the UK sports councils, and actually as we progress and look for more funding, actually is mandated that we would have non-executive directors for obvious reasons, that the experience they bring.
Yeah, thank you again, Mike. The retiring directors from the UKOSF, Andrew Moshano was the vice president of the board. He's currently a development officer of international federations. And the next page, please. And outgoing committee chair, Shaun Wilde, is not with us anymore. He won't be with us anymore, but he is with World Obstacle in an international level. And he will also carry on supporting us within the coach and technical official development side. Thank you, Shaun.
Yeah, thank you, Shaun. Okay, thank you, everyone. That concludes the official AGM business. And so I can declare the AGM closed from official business perspective. So we are going to jump into some other items. I think going to start with rules of the sport and the work that's been going on there. So I'm going to hand over to Beth and Becky to cover these areas. Hopefully.
Cool. Yeah, hi everyone. So we've been working on trying to get the rules of the sport sort of written down, sort of really structured, and put it into points so that it's clear. And we've been going through and addressing both OCR and Ninja, and looking at the various sort of disciplines within those and how the rules work for that. So what we want to do is we want to provide this document so that there is a set of rules that every competition can adhere to, but also that there's enough flexibility that it doesn't become too restrictive. So we want to give options for different ways of running competitions, but making sure that everything is really safe and conforms to the standards that have been set out. So these are the ones that we've put together. And so with approval from World Obstacle, this rulebook will be an extension to the current global rulebook. So for the Ninja Sport formats, you can see we've got quite a few that we've sort of hashed out. We've got the furthest fastest, which is probably the most recognizable form of Ninja, where the aim is to get through the course, get the furthest you can in the fastest amount of time. And if you fall, then that counts as your run and you're done. We've also got points-based, which is where you get points based on the number of obstacles you've completed. And so at the end of the competition, the person with the most points wins. So if you don't manage to complete an obstacle, you just don't get the point for that, and that's fine. We've also got some race formats. So an individual, which will be based on your time. And so there'll be time penalties if obstacles aren't completed. And we've got also head-to-head. So you compete on a course at the same time as someone else. And then we've got some relay options, either being in a leg. So you have, say, 3 people, for example, and then each person does a different leg of the course, or as a lap. So you have one person do the first lap of the course, and the second person starts as soon as the first person's finished, and so on. And so we've gone through and we've detailed how each of these works in the rulebook.
Thanks, Beth. So just to reiterate some of the things that Beth said there, one of the first things we did as UKOSF managing obstacle sports was looked at how we define the difference between Ninja Sport and OCR. So really that difference comes down to how much of the course is running or walking. The obstacles get in the way in both sports, and they test different attributes of the athlete. So we've actually tried to kind of categorize those primary obstacle challenges as well. So then within the OCR event formats, within the discipline of OCR, we've started to define some of those. So cross country, or sort of your classic OCR event that you might know as a mass start race, where the fastest person wins, hopefully with chip timing. Short course is a similar style, just shorter, so smaller mass starts, but there may be multiple waves, possibly more obstacle dense as well. We've seen quite a few or more time trials happening over the last year or so, thanks to everyone that got involved with those last year especially. So that's more of an individual timed run where you compare times in order to come up with the rankings. Head-to-head courses may include knockout rounds, so it's not always based on time, it's based on beating your opponent, and there might be only a few people head-to-head in those races. And furthest fastest, so kind of using a similar name to what they did in Ninja Sport, is more what you might know as a lapped race. For example, those time constrained races where you have to complete the greatest distance in a set amount of time or the greatest number of laps. But if you had 2 people that completed the same number of laps, then it'd be the fastest person. So it's furthest fastest, we're calling that. That's not the limit of these event formats. There are other things, like at world obstacle level, there's a standardized 100-meter race, and there's also relays, which we're going to be looking at defining. When we have been writing these rules, we've been using kind of a standard structure to describe the event format, including the course design and those primary obstacle challenges. So does it challenge balance, speed, grip strength, things like that? We've come up with about 13 different kind of categories. We'll also define penalties that are appropriate for using in each of these disciplines and formats, as well as how they should be timed, how we define a start and finish, and ultimately how we rank the results, as well as key things that need to be considered for safety. So hopefully they will act as like a clear guide for both events and athletes. So if events are hoping to bring in something new and they're not sure how, then this will help events to kind of understand what's required. But it's also going to be used for competitive and non-competitive events. So we have the same formats but described for a competitive scenario as well as a non-competitive event to help encourage people of all different levels, as well as give some structure and understanding. That will help everybody to really understand what OCR is, especially if they're coming from outside of the sport. So yeah, we're looking next to define some of those penalty systems, and there will be a range. Again, we want to kind of make sure we don't limit events, but also make sure that we link to our international competitions as well, and events like the European Championships and World Obstacle events. Thanks.
Thanks, Becky. Yeah, and in the not too distant future, we will be sharing the rulebook out to our members. I'd love to get your feedback. As Beth mentioned, we are kind of extending the World Obstacle Rulebook at a national level. So it is subject to World Obstacle approval. Ian and Michael and the team have been very open to that and understand that at a national level, there's certain requirements from sports councils and certain formats that may be appropriate at a national level. But that's just an FYI on that. Yeah, and the team have done a great job. It's really starting to come together, which ties us to the next point around recognition. I've kind of, in my role, kind of essentially taken on that lead role from a program perspective. There's so many moving parts from a recognition point of view. So I just wanted to give you an update on where we're at. Many of you may have seen this on previous meetings, the pre-application and full application of the different headings of things we need to cover. Subject to your vote with regards to constitutional structure. So if that Articles of Association is passed at 75% of votes, we will be in a fantastic position from an application point of view, from our pre-application. The rulebook is almost ready. We could start to work with events with those rules. We are affiliated to World Obstacle. We've got all the sports and activity, all the organizational history, all of that background documented. It's just now a case of just starting to build that together, and then we'll be ready to share our pre-application. There is a but. I'm incredibly proud that we've grown our membership to just over 700 now, but we won't be able to submit our pre-application until we get to 1,650 members. So, you know, there's so many things we can do to drive membership. It has to be paid. Actually, that's a stipulation from sports councils. I did ask the question, can we just start signing up people for free? And they were like, no, they need to show that commitment to the federation with some hard cash. So thank you everyone who has signed up as a paid member. It's very much appreciated. So the shift of focus, we've laid those foundations with the committee structure, with the constitution, documenting all the kind of the rule, but all of this stuff, which takes time, and really appreciate all the volunteers' work to bring this together. But now the focus is really going to shift to membership, and we need all of your help. If you can sign up 1 or 2 people, we're pretty much there with what we need to get to. And then we are submitted, and we have 12 months to submit our full application. So we will, before we submit our pre-application, we will kind of have the commitment of the team to make sure we can submit all our full application. But all of those stuff is within our control in terms of ensuring we've got the necessary governance structure, the vision and development. What are we doing from a diversity inclusion perspective, from a coaching perspective, from a safeguarding perspective? All of these things will take some time, but we would have 12 months to do it. So if as a team, we're ready to go from a full application perspective within that 12-month period, we have our members, we will submit our pre-application. So yeah, this is real call to arms to hopefully, if we get the nod on the constitution, to really start to drive membership. We'd love to be submitting our application by the end of this year to become a recognised sport. And I should add, before we go into the next slides, if you have any questions on this or anything else, do drop it in the comments and we will cover this at the end. I'm now going to hand over to Ali Hay, our Ninja Sport Chair and Head of Ninja Sport.
Good evening, everybody. Great to be here. So if you don't know me, my name's Ali Hay. Yeah, I'm the Chair and the Head of Ninja Sport. Obviously, this is a fairly new part of the organisation. The Ninja Technical Committee, of course, exists to bring about the discipline of Ninja within the larger body of the UKOSF and develop the structure within that. Obviously, James has covered a lot of stuff there within the application that the team have been working with as well. And overall, just bringing that sport into the ability for the recognition that we're hoping to achieve, obviously, fairly soon. Beth covering the Ninja Sport rules there as well, which have been a massive undertaking this year. But overall, just to get the discipline created and the sport itself recognised within UKOSF and the UK as an official sport. Next slide. All right, guys. So this is our main member board of the guys who sit on the board itself. Now, we have a pretty big technical committee, lots and lots of guys within it who many of you will know. I myself sit as the chair. We have Beth Lodge that you've already met as the vice chair, and we have other voting members on the group. We have Henry, Dean, Shadur, Alex, Ruel, and Monty as official voting members. Now, as you just seen, the 8 guys there within that group is the official members, but like I said, within the actual technical committee itself it's a much bigger group of people who have a huge amount of energy and a huge amount of diversity within their skills. Now, early on, we had created NSUK, Ninja Sport UK, which had been something previous to officially joining up, that we had looked at as almost like a community group to kind of bring around things that are often tied for ourselves within the technical committee, just due to the bigger picture of pushing the all the kind of application work and the structure of the sport. This was a great way for many of the ninjas who are also on the TV show, etc., to make appearances at events, do branded advertising, things that are kind of more about spreading the word of ninja, and also things that maybe we, as an official organization, we just can't prioritize at this point. And with the large technical committee, we could actually do that. So if you see the NSUK guys, they're all within the technical committee as well. They all work both sides of that role. And it just works alongside the UKOSF as a community group. And that's been a big undertaking this year as well, was finding that line within the sport, which is developing so fast that we're actually almost playing catch up with ourselves. And that was really important that we kind of got that going and made that really clear for everybody. And obviously letting you guys know how it all works today. So if you see these guys, they're all the same friendly technical committee that you see working within the OSF itself. So this year's been a big year, as we've already said. Lots and lots of things went down. Obviously, creating the technical committee itself has to be done properly. We structured that very well. The year has been crazy. I feel like we mirrored that in our efforts. There was a lot of work going in when everybody could, and then life would take over for a small period, as it does, and we would just get straight back in. And the team have done an absolutely fantastic job running everything from competitions to keep people entertained during lockdown, helping obviously with the short course time trials and stuff during the winter time, which was superb. A lot of fun there. More recently, Henry Cookie's gym in Liverpool at HC Ninja Fit he has annual competitions. And as you'd heard earlier, some of the formats and the rules that we have, a lot of them we have had for quite some time. But when you start to really hash them out, as the guys have been doing, you start to see that there might be other ways to run them. That may be better ways, more efficient ways, safer ways. So Henry ran an event and did a new kind of format and a point style. And then at the end of it, compared all those points with the other formats had they been run themselves. And we all got to kind of discuss that. So that was really good to see how that worked out. And it also lets us feel the lay of the land for the years to come for 2022. So as members, you all, of course, are interested in what the OSF is doing in the wider scheme of things. And that includes member benefits, of course. Now, we're looking at affiliations and partnerships long-term with the various brands. Now, you may have seen some of these spring up nearby, maybe where you live, Ninja Warrior UK Adventure Parks. Now, these are the definition of an adventure park is not a ninja gym, it's a ninja park. And obviously a park is more to play, more to enjoy, and get the ninja name out there in a sense that is really entry level for people, great for us, especially younger ones or groups of people who have never tried an obstacle sport before, and obviously push themselves and see how it goes. So we are looking at a partnership with the centres to bring member discounts, etc. There's aiming to be around 20 to 25 of these by the end of 2022, which, if you look at the annual uptake and footfall in these facilities, is over 500,000 people minimum will be going through these doors per year, more likely towards the 1 million mark, which is a massive number of people that will be undertaking obstacle sports. Having a hand in that and having a handshake alongside that is a great way for OSF to say, there's other avenues for you guys if you are on this, the fitter scale, if you want to pursue that or you have interest in it, technical, coaching, whatever it may be, there's a role there for you. And of course, there's other adventure parks out there. Bringing these into the fold and making sure that we all are inclusive and make sure that every facility has an ability to be a part of the bigger structure, because when we do become recognized, there's going to be a big rush for that. Making sure we have that early doors and making sure that there's things in place for you as members, and of course for the younger ones all the way up to the older ones, places to go and know where they are so that they can, of course, enjoy them and get stuck into these adventure parks and have some fun. Somebody's on loud. Yeah, so next slide, please. So 2022, of course, you know, we would all love a crystal ball to see what's going to come, but I can tell you one thing: if we can mirror the work that was pulled off this year, especially with all the things that were thrown at us all, I'm confident 2022 is going to be a great year for not just Ninja Sport, but of course the UKOSF and OCR as well. It's going to be massive. Now, we aim to obviously get a number of things on the go. The coaching qualifications as well. At the minute are sitting around level 1 to 2. We've got some of the guys currently going through that, but aiming for 1 to 4 potentially by the end of 2022, which would be advanced coaching. And of course, with that comes the development of then athletes. So having some sort of structure, at least beginning to, you know, blossom there, would be a big goal for us. As I've just mentioned, build on those brand partnerships and make sure that's all happening, and the affiliations with the actual training centers, the training gyms, the hardcore elements are going to be really important for the next level athletes as well, and helping that. We hope to pilot a Ninja Sport League, as you can see on the screen there, some sort of league format that we can really get people involved with at all levels. So not just something for the high-end athletes. We're looking at being able to bring that to everybody. So really we'll keep you posted as best we can, but keep you out of the ground for that. With that comes community events about spreading the awareness, getting the word out there, and really kind of trying to involve people. And we know how much people enjoy it. We've seen it firsthand. I can tell that by the customer attention that I have at my park alone, that people really love it. But if they meet other people through it, they love it even more. So it's about saying, you guys invite friends, we invite people, we get this organization growing much bigger. And that is definitely one of our bigger goals for 2022, along with, of course, getting all the work done to get that application ready to submit. So for you guys, if you're sitting at home and you're thinking about, you know, I haven't really tried Ninja, or, you know, I've seen one of these places spring up and you've got some questions, anything like that, please feel free, reach out. Again, you can ask any of the guys at the Ninja Sport UK guys. Like I said, they're a community group that work alongside ourselves, and they can always pass on to us if it's something they can't answer there. And of course, the UKOSF, any of the socials there, lots and lots of plans coming forward. So yeah, any questions, please fire away there.
Thanks, Ali. I think we're going to answer the questions at the end of the session as they come in the chat. Hi, everybody. Welcome if you've recently joined the meeting. I'm Becky Neal. I'm Ali's equivalent, but for the discipline of OCR. So I'm the chair of the OCR Technical Committee. He's chair of the Ninja Sport Technical Committee. And so both of us have links with each other, so we can make sure that we're not kind of duplicating any work, and we're also making sure that we got it all on the same page as well. And also we have that connection to the board as well, hopefully. So some of the objectives that we've set out as part of this committee, one of those was to define the rules of the sport and kind of show our influence as part of our pre-application status, which we've already talked about with Beth earlier in this meeting. But also we were hoping to create a committee, a team of people who would be able to represent the needs of different members of the Federation. And currently on our committee, we have 6 people. There is space for 2 more. So Dave Peters is our vice chair. Dave's been working with UKOSF for over a year or so, helping out. Linda's recently joined us and is keen to kind of input on these different kind of areas that we're going to be talking about. Karen up in Scotland, she's joined us recently as well, and Fabian, he's got some great links to the community, and of course James, who's been working tirelessly for a while now. So far we have 6 members who are on our official committee group. What this means is that we are able to discuss things that are put to us from the community, whether that's to do with rules of events or whether it's to do with new events, and we can actually kind of make sure that there is a detailed conversation about those that we've kind of compared with all the regulations and things at different levels, so that if anything needs to be changed, that we can have a proper discussion and make things happen. So that's why we have this kind of committee of people. If you are interested in kind of being part of that, please do contact me, and we'll be happy to have you join us. And we also want to make sure that we have some kind of connection to the committees that you're going to be hearing about later today. For example, event licensing and diversity and inclusion. So you might see these names come up again, which kind of really helps to make sure that understanding how the discipline works is also kind of informed by all the other technical committees, and coaching and youth development and all those things, so it's all tied in nicely together. So one of the things we've been doing recently is working with the Ocr European Championships, which is part of that kind of world obstacle route towards international competition. So we've updated the qualifications, which are on our website, or on their website, sorry. And also this kind of championships will be kind of following the world obstacle rules. So we're kind of working with them to make sure that everything is clear for all of our competitors coming from the UK for that event. We don't have any events confirmed in the UK for 2022 as part of UKOSF, but what we're hoping to do next year is work with existing races to test the rules that we've kind of come up with, as well as hopefully run one of our own events, probably following the formats that we described earlier. So if you missed that, we've got classic cross-country style OCR, similar but shorter events, time trials, which we ran last year, head-to-head events, for example, the Nuts race, and also lap races like which we're calling furthest fastest. So we're going to continue to work with Ninja Sport, make sure we're kind of clarifying the disciplines, and add in some more things, formats like the relays. And also we're going to be working on that classification of obstacles to help events create really kind of balanced races. Yeah, one of the things we want to make sure that we do is protect and encourage the variety within OCR. So we've been talking about rules a few times today, but what we want to make sure is that we don't limit the sport in terms of creativity. We just allow for variation within our kind of description of these events and things. And we're also going to make sure there's space for competitive and non-competitive athletes in all of these events. One of the next things we're going to be doing as well is helping kind of understand the different styles of penalty systems. And so if you want to kind of have your input of that, then joining the kind of committee is a really good way to do that. Okay.
Thank you, Becky. Yeah, and I think, yeah, as Becky said, if anyone does want to kind of get involved with this committee or another committee, please do reach out. We will welcome you with open arms. There's lots of input that's required and lots of support needed on various things. So yeah, do reach out if there's an area you're interested in. I'm going to hand over now to Shaun. I just wanted to kind of reiterate what Oner said. Actually, Shaun has put in a lot of effort over the last couple of years to establish our coaching and technical officials committees, which we'll talk about now, and I know he's going to continue to put in a lot of work at a world obstacle level, so I wanted to kind of thank him for his support for UKOSF.
Thank you, James and Oner. So yeah, not really going. I'm still involved with the UKOSF team, but obviously coming at it from the world obstacle point of view. I think if you can go to the next slide, please, James. So the committee moving forward will be Dave Peters as chair, who was my vice chair whilst working over the last couple of years. And then we've got Lindsay McEwen, who's doing a sterling job around the training administration. And then from a Ninja Sport point of view, got Shadow and Nigel coming through. They're working on the new level 1, level 2 for Ninja Sport coaching, which has a degree of overlap to the OCR coach qualification. So they're working on that as we speak. And then James is involved in this process as well, and he's coming in trained up as an official and as a coach. The next slide, please. So in terms of the officials committee, we're quite light on that. We don't have a lot of trained officials either. We've run a couple of pilots for this. So again, Lindsay's administrating this. So if there's anyone who wants to lead on the officials committee and the development of officials, it would be great for you to put your name forward, because we are quite light in that area. I'll come on to the structure of how officials are developed on that, I think, on the next slide, please, James. So yeah, so on the right hand side, in terms of technical officials, it's very similar to how UK athletics, for example, develop their technical officials through various levels based on a bit of training and experience. So we've implemented level 1, level 2. So we bring in people, existing race marshals at level 1, and then train them at level 2. They then go away and get some experience and take an exam to become an NTO, a National Technical Official. We're hoping to have a number of those by the time we get to go to the European Championships next year, because we can take our NTOs over to Italy, where they'll be trained as ITOs. So prior to the event itself, they will receive the training course on site, and you would operate as representing the UK as an international technical official. Yeah, so that's in progress. We've got the training in place. We can run the course. It's a relatively short course in terms of training the TO, about 90 minutes to 2 hours, and then off you go to get that experience. Both coaching streams are very similar. You do some online training, which is level 1. You're still a coaching training at that level, and then you take assessments at level 2. And once you've passed those assessments, you'd either be an OCR coach or a Ninja Sport coach. As I said just earlier, the Ninja Sport coach level 1, level 2 is in design at the moment. It should be live very soon. And there's about a 50% overlap between the two coaching models. So if you're qualified for one, you can upgrade to the other sport as well. My job in terms of coming out of UKOSF at world obstacle level is next to develop the level 3 and the level 4, which are in design as we speak. And we'll have those run as pilot events in UK in early 2022. So those of you that are existing level 2 coaches who want to move up to level 3, you'll be able to come and do that. If you're not yet a coach, if you can get through quite quickly, you could still come into level 3, level 4 in 2022. So they're the levels. Very much follow the UK coaching framework in terms of the level. And there will be a level 5 across all 3 streams, but it'll be experiential at that point. And there'll be people like the national team coaches that will be level 5 in the future. Okay, thanks, James. Next slide, please. I think as I said before, we've got some people already trained. Got Jason there doing a sterling job as a technical official. So they're out there gaining their experience. So they're attending sanctioned races by UKOSF. And with that experience, the next step for those guys is to take the online assessment in order that they become NTOs. So it's a relatively streamlined process to do this. And you can go to those sanctioned events to do that. You can get in touch with UKOSF in terms of which events they are. And then next slide. So we've done pretty well at training coaches. As you can see, there's 50 coaches there. We've had a number of cohorts. We started right back at the beginning of 2020 with a strong start, and then we were hit by COVID. So we had Ian Adamson come over as the president of World Obstacle to deliver the first 2 cohorts. So we had a bit of a break while we revised the training and turned it into online, and then we've carried on that training. So those 50 people there are either qualified or going through qualification as we speak. So let's hope we can get at least another 50 to 100% more coaches coming through, because these guys are the people that are going to drive participation through the various training centres moving forward. It's really important to have these guys out there in the community. There's a predominant number of OCR coaches there, so we'll as Ali said before, we're really going to push the Ninja Sport coaching as well, so we can get that as a discipline and drive participation in Ninja as well as OCR.
Yeah, thank you, Shaun. I think just to add to what Shaun said, I think if there's any coaches or people that want to become officials that are interested, please reach out. I also want to thank all the kind of existing cohorts of coaches and officials. We are very much in new territory of establishing these coaching and officials frameworks as volunteers, but we do appreciate your patience and support. And I also just wanted to mention, for anyone who's looking for a coach, the other key thing that we're doing here with all our coaches is ensuring they've done safeguarding training, they're first aid trained, they've got insurance, they've got disability awareness, they've done through courses, they've been DBS checked. So to really just give that assurance with these coaches, like you see in other sports, like I'm a football coach, I have to do all of this to coach my son's team. I really start to bring that kind of standards into OCR as well, and to Ninja Sport soon. I'm going to jump on to the next slide. So I'm going to introduce Joe Dulson-Cox, who is the chair of our relatively recently formed Club Development Committee. Hey, Joe.
Hi, everyone. So yeah, short and sweet from me. So I am the chair of the Club Development Committee. If we move down to the next slide, as you can see, we're very, very light on our feet at the moment. Myself as chair and Becky stepping in to assist as well. Ideally, we'd like to recruit at least six to eight members, volunteer members of the Club Development Committee. So as James has said before, if you are interested, please let us know, which leads us nicely on to a call to action from everybody. So 2 weeks today, we're going to hold a forum. So Monday the 15th, 8 till 9, just to talk through my my sort of aims of the Club Development Committee and get people's input on it. And the types of things that I'm really looking at doing are producing club development plans for our clubs, our teams and our groups. So very much like if you've been a member of any other sports teams, there will be a club development plan in place. Looking at establishing an affiliation process for our clubs, again, meeting the standards that we'd like within the clubs that can support you, and a suite of resources as well. So if people are new to being on club committees, is actually what, how can we help you? Looking to work alongside the other committees, because I think most people, as you've gone through this AGM, you'll realise there's lots of interlinking with membership and coaching and all those other different committees that are out there, and really trying to create those links for everybody of how your club and your team can link into all the other committees and everything else that's going on. And ideally, we'd like to look at some club leagues and some events and how we can produce those sorts of leagues. So we've actually got a bit of competition between teams. So yeah, if you're interested, please join us on November the 15th and we can have a nice chat about it.
Thanks,
James.
Yeah, and I think it's a real opportunity. It's right at the start of what clubs could continue to grow into and become. So we want everyone's input. Please join us in a couple of weeks. And I think that's kind of the main points from the club perspective. I think there's so many opportunities for how we grow our sport in this space. I think actually we could also start to talk about how you become a community club, and then from that, how eventually when we've got recognition, you can start to access funding as a club to bring more people into the sport as a community club, just like in other sports. So hopefully we've got Natasha. I know Natasha was coming back from running a lot of the Spartan courses and things in Wales. So hopefully you're back, Natasha. But Natasha is our chair of our Diversity and Inclusion Committee.
Yeah, I'm back. Just literally watching
Awesome.
the ball. Apologies for the scruffiness. Trains were a nightmare today. Nice to meet everyone. I'm the chair of Diversity and Inclusion Committee. Our aim as a committee is to really make sure that we are identifying underrepresented groups within the community and trying to make sure that obstacle sports in the UK are really showing a good representation of British society. We're, I'd say, a fairly small committee at the moment, covering quite a broad range of topics. Is that the right word? And again, as a lot of us have said already, we're really still looking for committee members. So if anyone is up to it and would like to join our committee, then please do. Myself as the chair, we're currently without a vice chair. So we'll either nominate someone from within the team, or again, feel free to step up if you think that you would like to support us as a vice chair. Myself, Eloise, Jamie, Becky and Monty, looking at representing different areas that are underrepresented at the moment. So far this year, we've kicked off with the UKOSF Mentoring Program. As a committee, we're also currently representing women in obstacle sports. So the Women's Mentoring Program kicked off earlier this year. And I think some people have taken on mentors. But again, if you're interested in either being a mentor or linking up with a mentor, then it's a really great way to really start conversations and get support from experienced racers of different levels. Oh, this is a screenshot. I thought it was me then. I was really confused. Sorry, I'm a bit sleepy. We had our first UKOSF Unite forum. Sorry, I'm just still a bit shocked by that. Again, a couple of months ago, which was to introduce the Diversity and Inclusion Committee. Some really great conversations were started, particularly around neurodiversity and our para athletes, which led to us working on and publishing the Adaptive Athletes Qualification, in particular with a focus to support adaptive athletes who would like to qualify for the Ocr European Championships. The information for that is on our UKOSF website under the competition rules section. But if you'd like more support, then feel free to reach out to myself or any of our committee members about it.
Thank you, Natasha. And I think, as you mentioned, the Diversity and Inclusion Committee represents a number of different groups that we feel kind of currently either underrepresented, or maybe there isn't enough awareness within the community of how to serve their needs. So I think over time what will happen is additional subcommittees will grow out of that, such as para adaptive athletes or women's committees. So as these committees grow and we see a need, more subcommittees will grow from the Diversity and Inclusion Committee. I'm now going to move on to Lindsay, who is busy in a number of committees and is the chair of our community committee.
Thanks, James. Yep, so evening all, I'm Lindsay McEwen and I am the chair of the community committee for UKOSF. So what are we here for? So if you move on a slide, James. So we are responsible for increasing involvement in obstacle sports, and we try as best we can to represent the views of the whole community within OCR and Ninja. We are focusing primarily on those who are already in the sport, and we're looking to increase engagement with those people and kind of build that real community feeling around UKOSF. And we want to really try and spread the word and get more people involved and aware of what we're doing and what we're trying to achieve as a group. So there's 5 of us currently. We've got myself as chair, we've got Mike who is vice chair, and Mike and Martin are well-known names within, especially within the Tough Mudder volunteer community, and their feedback and input into the group has been great so far. And we've also got Wendy in as a community with James to help us steer the goals and objectives over the next year. We do have space for 3 more. So if you would love to get involved with this, then please let us know, particularly if anyone wants to get involved from the Ninja community. We are a little bit short on that side in terms of representation, so please give us a shout if you want to join our community committee. It's quite hard to say. So in terms of what we're working on, it really is just about spreading the word, exactly what the slide says. We want to try over the next year to really drive some goals in terms of working really closely with some of the other committees, so particularly around the event committee and the diversity committee, because we do all have very similar threads around our goals and objectives, but we're looking to try and encourage and engage. So we want, we're going to start with looking at our volunteering communities. We've got, it's a big part of OCR and Ninja. We've got a massive volunteering community. We want to try and engage them more and get them involved in UKOSF. We're looking to maybe try and put a video together from everyone who wants to tell us why they love OCR, why they love Ninja, and why they got into it, and why they stay in the support to try and promote our sport and our communities, and try and retain people in the sport as best we can. COVID has hit us hard, so we want to try and get that spark going back again as the races come back. We want to work with the event guys to get more sight at more events. So the picture in the slide is one of the ones we did at Nuts this year, where we had a bit of a UKOSF stand, we had a bit of a competition going, and it just gets people talking about UKOSF and what we do. We want to try and build partnerships with the communities that are already established around the different regions and areas, and kind of build partnerships there to work with them to build that whole community across the whole country. And one of the ideas the guys has, which I thought was great, was looking at, I think in the US it's called an Orphan Tent or an Annie tent, where we go to events, particularly endurance events, and we help those athletes or who are maybe there on their own. They have maybe underestimated maybe the kind of endurance event, and be there to help them and really show that UKOSF is there for everyone, and we want to try and help our athletes and get them through maybe those tougher events and be there for them. So yeah, that's what we're trying to do. So if you want to join us, let us know.
Thank you, Lindsay. And I think, as you mentioned, we do want to partner and work with the existing community that's out there, and like different groups. And as Ali talked around Ninja Sport UK and the community group there, we've also partnered this year with UK OCR and Scottish OCR as well. So we want to continue that. There's no point UKOSF replicating what's already out there. We're here to help and support and grow the community as a whole. So we do want to partner with existing organisations, groups, etc. that are in existence. So feel free to reach out and start up a chat. Now I'm going to hand over to Emma, Head of Youth Engagement, to talk around the Youth Engagement Committee.
Thanks, James. I'm Emma Waring, for anybody that may not know me, Head of Youth Engagement for UKOSF. I also, on top of that, manage the OCR girls, the OCR boys, the OCR juniors, and also I'm a co-founder of the OCR Junior Development Program. Sorry, I've got a frog in my throat. I've literally hardly got any voice left after this weekend. It's ridiculous. Shouting over music is not the best thing before an AGM. So yeah, co-founder of the Junior Development Program with Dave Peters and Robin French. So got a lot of experience of working with the juniors and with the juniors' parents. So the biggest thing for us within the youth engagement section of UKOSF is mainly focused around safety. So safety first, and everything that's encompassed within safeguarding the junior athletes, safe training facilities, safe delivery of coaching juniors, and the junior progression is conducted in a safe manner. On top of that is inclusion, opportunities for all levels, for all juniors. I think we all know that juniors develop at such a different rate. You see some amazing kids at the age of kind of 6 and 7, and then they move away from the sport at kind of 13. We then see people that come into the sport, youngsters that come into the sport at say 15, and they progress for a couple of years and then drop out when they're 18. What we're looking at is bringing children into the sport, keeping them in there and progressing them through, and whether that's because they want to have fun and enjoy it, or whether that's because they want to compete. So we have to make sure that there are pathways for each of those different aspirations from the juniors, and those talent development pathways and long-term progression are really important to us, so that we're helping coaches and training facilities protect the development of the juniors as well. So to be able to do this, we have a committee of people. I will not be the chair of this committee. This will be chaired by Katie Agus, who has extensive experience within the safeguarding arena. And her vice chair will be Lindsay Young, who again has got a huge amount of experience within safeguarding. She's operated within sport for a long time within the safeguarding arena, so, and also works with Ali at Ninja Warrior up in Scotland. So those two will be chair and vice chair. I will sit on the committee with Dave Peters, who again has coached a lot of juniors, has a huge amount of experience within junior development, and knows a lot of the juniors on the circuit as well, because most of them go and train with him. So Greg Barker will be joining us, and that's somebody that you will be unfamiliar with, because he isn't in the sport. He works within the school system, he works within CAMS, and he is an expert within this area. So we've recruited a number of different people that have got levels of expertise that we may not find within UKOSF, and somebody that can look at it from an external point of view and remove any emotion. So Greg will be joining us. Joe Dulson-Cox, I think everybody knows Joe, huge amount of experience in delivering of safeguarding courses, and Gemma Addy, who is a parent and a parent representative. Her son is Oliver, so she's highly invested in terms of being a parent of a junior who is developing within the sport. And that's it from me. Has anybody got any questions?
I'm going to hold for questions at the end, if that's all right.
Oh yeah, no problem.
Thank you, Emma. Yeah, and I think you mentioned safeguarding, but also, yeah, just the fact that we really want to bring as many into the sport as possible from a junior level. We ran the free membership in September, and we'll be looking to do more in the future from a federation perspective. I'm going to now introduce Rhys Jeremiah, who is in charge of our training centres committee, and has been doing a lot of support from all the webinars and things as well. So I want to thank Rhys for that, for all the support there. But if I can hand over to you, Rhys.
Thanks, James. Just to introduce myself, as some of you may not know me, Rhys Jeremiah. As James said, I'll be chairing the training centre committee. So the committee was initially sort of set up with the intention to engage with training centres across the UK. The main aim is to sort of help and support training centres, engage with them, promoting safe practices, and sort of encouraging affiliation, which I'll come on to shortly. As you can see at the moment, there's 5 of us included on the committee, myself as chair, Henry, James, Lindsay and Tom. Everyone's been working hard on this one, and the main point so far is engagement with all training centres that we know of, and ideally we want to try and set up a sort of a main point of contact for each training centre within sort of UKOSF, who we can, they've got they can liaise with, and we can offer as much support as we can, mainly to try and promote them, and as I said earlier, to try and promote the safe practices, as I'm sure most of you are aware, training centres are key to a lot of people across the UK to help them train towards the events. And so without the training centres, we wouldn't be able to develop athletes like we are doing at the moment. So far this year we have created an affiliation program, the first phase of it, and we have had a number of applications who are currently under review, and we look forward to getting these on board as soon as we can. We'd be keen if there's anyone else who would like to help us out on the committee. As I'm sure you're aware from all the other committees, we all need people, manpower, and as I said earlier, ideally we want to try and regionalise the support we can give each one. As you'll see with James, it's linked quite closely to the event support, everything that we're giving across the board.
Thanks, Rhys. Yeah, I think with the training centre affiliation program, we've had that out on the website. Thank you for all the training centres that have applied. Yeah, please bear with us while we just kind of get up and running with the program. I think it will be fantastic. Also, if any training centre leads want to get involved and help the committee, the affiliation part will be separated out from the kind of training centre committee itself. So we'd love that input and support from anyone who runs a training centre around the country. I've kind of continued my role I started when I first joined UKOSF around event support, and this year kind of developed the licensing side of that as well. So I'm going to talk through what we've been doing this year. So similar to what Rhys went through, we've got a number of people on the event support committee who essentially are assigned an event to liaise with, follow up with, whether that event is engaged with UKOSF, whether they don't want to talk to us, whether they haven't heard of us. We've kind of got these lists of events, and we're trying to ensure we're following up as often as possible, sharing information we're hearing, sharing any support we can provide, and really want to hear from events in terms of how we can help. Really, we're going to start to build our strategic plan for the next 3 years as we move towards recognition. Eventually, how we hopefully will get funding to support some of those goals. So events are going to be a critical part of that, and supporting the events with what they need, really, because as you can see, while I've supported a couple of small events, we're not race directors, but we are passionate event obstacle sport enthusiasts. So we've got this list of events that we're working through and do want to engage and continue to engage with the events that are out there. And I think actually I should just pause and mention that there is over 50 OCR events around the country. So there's a lot of events out there that we can support. It's one of the reasons why this year we introduced the Weekend Warrior Award. We really wanted to support the variety of OCR events and Ninja Sport events around the country. So this was a recognition for someone who could go to either compete or volunteer or train at an event or a training centre around the country, and you had to get to 8. So pretty strong commitment. And we've already had 5 people that have achieved Weekend Warrior status. So I wanted to congratulate Wayne King, Kyra Cushway, Steve Mesham, Wendy Brothers, and Ramunas for achieving Weekend Warrior Award status. If anyone else wants to achieve that, you've got until the end of the year. If you're a member, you can get this awesome patch for achieving it. And most importantly, you'll be supporting the many events and training centres around the country. So yeah, please get out there, support local events, support training centres with your custom. Secondly, you may have seen recently our Share the Mud engagement. This started actually with our partnership with UKOSF and a conversation there. And now once a week, we are sharing a different event to encourage everyone to either sign up themselves or probably most importantly, share the love of obstacle sports and specifically in this instance, the mud of OCR, and invite friends and family to get involved. So far we featured Mud Madness, the Farmyard Jam, and the Little Welly, which is a kids obstacle festival in our Share the Mud program. And I know we've got some feedback from the race directors that it's been really helpful. And I think actually I should pause and say that this isn't just UKOSF or just UKOSF and UKOCR. We've had actually 17 different organizations, whether they be a team, whether they be a Facebook group, a media company that have got involved with this and supported Share the Mud and been posting once a week as well. So if you see these posts, you see this logo, please do engage with the post, please do share it, tag some friends that you know that may be in the area. It's really on all of us to grow our community and bring more people into the sport. We will have a web page up soon as well to encourage people with all the events listed. So I think, as I mentioned at the beginning, there's two parts to event support and licensing. The event support, we talked about how can we support events, how can we get more people to events, and then the licensing committee. So obviously you could go out and say, why don't you just promote all events, which obviously we want to do, but we also need to have some level of due diligence and some level of criteria to sanction an event and ensure an event is meeting those standards, which 99.99% of events out there already do, and some have such excellent standards way beyond what we've documented. But we wanted to start with a base level of standards that all events as members you should expect when you attend. So we've established a licensing committee within UKOSF. This is independent. Only the information from events only gets shared with this committee, and it doesn't get shared with anyone else within the committee and within the organisation. We've got Malcolm Dunn from a health and safety perspective, really experienced from a risk assessment perspective. There's written risk assessments for events, for the Krypton Factor, the original game show. So really is knowledgeable in reviewing risk assessments. Alex Young from a finance perspective to ensure the organisation of good standing. Joe from safeguarding. We've got legal support from Shadow. John, it's great to get that kind of insurance input more recently to review insurance documentation. And then Tom reviewing from a community perspective. And we've had a number of licensed events already that we've been able to promote and support. We've had 10 event organisers that have come forward and had their events licensed, which has been completely free for those events. And we've had 17 unique events that have been promoted. And this again is important from a recognition perspective, because also we could say we represent obstacle sports, but until these events come forward, we can't kind of show that documentation, show that evidence of jurisdiction. I should also add, sorry, to Henry, I've missed Ukfcf off this list. So there's one miss in terms of my logos, but Ukfcf was licensed as well by UKOSF. So I also chair the Sustainability Committee. I'll keep this brief because it's more of a call to arms, because it's very kind of timely topic with COP 26 happening right now. But I am the lone committee member of the Sustainability Committee, but it is really important. The sports industry overall, emissions are around the same as kind of a country like Spain or Poland. So as a federation, it's really kind of incumbent on us to support and find ways to reduce emissions from our sport. This is obviously going to be a long-term project. We are not at any way, shape or form in a position to really influence what this might look like in the future, but I could say that it's certainly something that many other governing bodies are kind of actioning and also getting significant funding to support as well. So this is something that if anyone is passionate about sustainability, would love to get your support and expertise on the committee. That's all our committee updates. I also just wanted to give a thank you to a few more people, and I apologise for anyone on the call if I've missed you from this list, because there's been so many people that have been volunteering and giving their time this year, but I just wanted to call out a few additional people. So Tom, who's kind of been involved in lots of bits and pieces, you'll see him very active on our UKOSF members group and is committing a lot of time to support the Federation. So thank you, Tom. Dan, who is working on our new website and has been helping with our existing website. We do want to have that professional look and feel from a new website as we go into our application. So if we've got any other designers and developers out there, which I should add, Ignacio, a lot of the creative that you see is Ignacio Gonzalez, so I did miss one person. He and Dan have been doing great on all of the content that's being produced. Rachel, who's been working with a lot of brands to start to bring those member discounts and actually partnerships. So hopefully in the not too distant future, we'll be announcing our first official partnership. Chris, as Alex said, on a finance perspective, he's been putting our finances together. Luke, who's been managing some of our social. And then James, Alan, most quite extensively from legal support and guidance. And then finally, Ian, Kay, who's jumped in and helped with the constitution from a legal perspective as well. So yeah, just a few additional thank yous to the team. Ballot results. So these are provisional, but I've just checked and there's 4 additional votes. So I'm not going to update, but essentially, thank you everyone for your time in voting. I think we had pretty strong turnout, 201 voters and a few more now that have come through. And as you can see by the numbers, we've got resounding yeses for all of the different areas. Just for clarification, in terms of our constitution, abstentions do not count in terms of our majority calculation, but they are recorded, as you can see. So we will share the final results on email and on social channels so everyone can see. But this is really great news to get your kind of vote and support, because our financial years are approved, our minutes are approved, and importantly, our articles of association are approved. And we have our first board and technical committees that have been voted by the community. So yeah, we're here to represent you for the next 2 years and potentially beyond with your support. I've seen lots of things in the chat, but I haven't necessarily seen any questions yet. But I will take a pause. Got lots of people on the group, but if anyone wants to ask any questions, I will look to see if there are any that have been added. You are more than welcome to ask them. I can see a few, and I might ask Rhys or someone if I'm stuck and there's more questions to read them out, because I've not got any on our doc. But I've got the question from Lou: when will the next coaching course be? So we are just waiting for kind of a steady quorum of people for coaching. I think we need at least 10 people to make it practical to run a coaching course. We had a few people contact us recently. So we will be ideally running another course this year, subject to numbers. So please, we've got your details, Lou. I know you're super keen and we really want to run it as well. So please, anyone else interested in a coaching course, please reach out. It's £75 for the course, which covers the Zoom free Zoom training sessions and the practical assessment. There are some additional prerequisites you'll need to have, as mentioned. They're now listed on our website, such as the safeguarding training, first aid, and disability awareness. Dave, I saw a question from you. Do you mind? Do you want to ask that question?
Hi mate, yeah, I was just asking about the officials course the officials that get taken to the Euros to represent our sort of UK officials at the European Championships. I just wondered whether they would be funded by the federation or whether they would need to fund themselves.
Yeah, at this stage, I think the answer is they would need to be self-funded. I know that's a difficult situation, but I think that's something that obviously we want to start to look at. Can we get sponsorship? Can we apportion some of the membership fees to part support, or so it's something we definitely want to look at. We appreciate it's a long way to go as a technical official. So yeah, the answer I guess is to be confirmed, but it won't be easy to raise the necessary funds, unfortunately. Rhys, do we have any other questions in the chat?
Yes, I believe there's a question for Ali from Sandy Pow. Any plans for any more ninja parks in Scotland?
Yes, there is a couple more parks coming up. Should be around by the end of next summer. So West Coast and again further north East Coast. Also, if you're close to the border, potentially Newcastle. As parks go, not heard of any more gyms as such. Trying to locate facilities to see if they're up for any potential internal open conversions, maybe CrossFit facilities, etc. So if you know any, always give us a pointer. But that's for that, yeah.
Thanks, Ali. Any more questions, Rhys?
Just checking through now. A comment from Stephen Fell regarding a plan with increasing the number of members, just secured website development and social advertising. Whoever wishes to discuss the room nutrition will need to work with us. I think that's something we need to contact Stephen on.
Yes, certainly, Stephen. I'd love to chat more on Zoom. In terms of members, I guess there's so many things we can do. I think it's getting the word out there, getting awareness, speaking to people, trying to reinforce the importance of why we're trying to do this, and actually the value it can have to the sport and to the community if we can become recognised. Not only does it help us to create a safe sport, but actually it helps us to get more people into the sport, get more people active. As we all know, obstacle sports is a fantastic sport to be active, to challenge yourself, to get outside of your comfort zone, to grow as a person. In my opinion, we all have kind of come into the sport from different avenues, but all found a love for it, and I think it can really grow in the community. It's got mass awareness at a Ninja Warrior level, at a Tough Mudder level, but that mass awareness doesn't necessarily translate into this is a sport that you can actively take part in, that you can get involved in multiple events, different events beyond those brands. You can compete at national, European, world level. From a youth perspective, there's so many opportunities as well to grow and capitalize on that knowledge.
A couple more questions just come in. One I think aimed at Ali mainly. Again, is there a common insurer the Ninja Parks and Ninja Gyms are using? That's come from Brendan Riley.
Not necessarily. There's a common one that the Ninja Warrior UK Parks are using right now, but that'll be up in May, and then it'll change. The guys that we're going to be potentially working with the UKOSF looks probably the most promising. And again, as being part of a federation that eventually will be recognised, that gives us a much bigger sway on how these things are viewed by insurers, because who else are going to look to for the information and the results and the data? We will be the boots on the ground for it. So Ninja Gyms, you can get a much more kind of smaller tailored insurer versus something with ridiculous footfall like the Ninja Parks and stuff. But yeah, I can speak to you about that, mate. Catch you up with that.
Brilliant. And another one just come in about Mudstickle had a great module to promote the competitive nature of the sport with video recaps and a league. Is there any thoughts on adopting something similar for UKOSF?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna touch on that question. I think I just wanted to add to Ali's kind of note on insurance as well. I think insurance is certainly something that is important for the sport. As we grow as a federation, I think we can have more influence on working, and we're hoping to announce a partnership soon with an insurance provider to hopefully support events in over time, reducing fees, because insurers see obstacle sports as a very risky activity, and there's actually very few insurers that will insure obstacle events, which means insurance prices go up. It's a very expensive sport to insure. So if we can work with those insurers if they understand the risk, and we can hope to give those and that guidance, because it isn't, I think, as risky as it's perceived to be. We can really help with the sport. I think to follow up on the Mudstickle point, I'd love to actually see Mudstickle come back. It's an amazing brand. I completely agree. The video recaps were really powerful, really strong, great kind of communication device shared on social media. I think Mudstickle is actually severely missed in the sport. There's other kind of community groups out there, maybe they can take that on. But it is a challenge. I think a lot of the people that ran Mudstickle, although there was some financial kind of payments in terms of the league and things like that, and membership was a activity of love and passion for the sport. But if we can either find a community group or some way of doing that within UKOSF, then I think it would be fantastic, because they are, as someone who was at Spartan Race at the weekend, some of those races were fantastic. And there's many other kind of races out there, whether they be competitive or just fun events. You want to share and see that out in social media, and share that beyond the people that were there.
A couple of other comments to bring up before I go down to the questions. Message from Shaun to everyone. If you want to become a coach or technical official, you can email or use the online form to express your interest and get yourself on the waiting list for the next course, which I think is a very good point to note. And Brendan Riley has mentioned, it'd be really interesting to see how Para OCR develops. I look forward to that. And Philip Pearson has brought up a point about a fantastic video from Wales this weekend on Spartan UK Facebook group of a para athlete doing an A-frame, and perhaps it'd be good for UKOSF to reach out to them as well. So I think that's something else we can take a note of and look into.
Fantastic.
Just a note on that one. Sorry, I am on the Spartan UK team at the moment and have been told that I'll be put in contact with that racer for feedback on the adaptive accessibility of our courses this weekend. So hopefully, as we develop more as a diversity and inclusion committee as well, that's something we can support more.
Yeah, thanks, Natasha.
Yeah, I think Jamie, when we did the UKOSF Unite topic, he gave really insightful thoughts on how we can bring more adaptive athletes into the sport, or help those that kind of maybe try it. There's, I think, 15 to 20% of people have a disability in the UK. How can we expand the sport to bring those athletes into obstacle sports? Alan Moore has brought up a point. There's a lot of committees set up for the benefit of the runners. Would it be worth setting up a race committee or informal committee in terms of race directors could share best practice and work in conjunction with other committees to make races more inclusive for everyone? I think that's a great idea, Alan. I think any races out there that everyone out there can be part of UKOSF. Like, it's anyone in the community. There's not, this is only for runners or this is only for races. It's our federation essentially. So if people are seeing a gap within the federation, and guidance. So if that's you raising your hand, Alan, to join our first committee member for events, that would be amazing.
Damien's brought up a point on promotion aspects on exploring VR and AR technology. Who's a good person to engage with? I think that's something we could probably contact him on.
I think AR and VR, as someone who works in the digital industry, it is an incredible area. I think as a federation, we're not quite at the point to, that would be someone dedicating a lot of time working with a partner. We wouldn't necessarily have the finances. So I think it would definitely have to be on the good ideas park for the short term. But as I say, as someone who works in that industry, it would be pretty fantastic if we were able to achieve something there.
Yeah. A quick note from Justin. When will the current cohort of coaches be advised of pass fail? Anyone know anything about that one at the moment?
Yeah, so I know that Lindsay and Shaun have done an excellent job now of going through all the information. So I know Lindsay, I might put her on the spot of when you're going to contact the remaining list.
You can do, yeah. Apologies to those that are waiting. As kind of James said at the start, a lot of us are volunteers, and unfortunately my work has got in the way last week. I was travelling a little bit, so the plan is to get everything, all the admin out the way this week. Then I'll need to get Shaun just to do a check and a verify of everything, and if all's good, we'll be sending out certificates hopefully by the end of this week, if we can get everything verified and done. But yeah, I appreciate that we've made people wait a little bit longer than we would have expected to. So yeah, I appreciate everyone's patience, but we'll definitely get there.
Thanks, Lindsay. I thought I'd just see some faces for the last few minutes. Thank you for all the questions. I think we could probably go on, but I'm also mindful of we don't have to finish at 9 o'clock. We can get 15 more minutes back of our evening. I just wanted to kind of wrap up and thank you all for joining. We'll obviously share this video as well with the rest of the members. So thank all the members for being a part of the Federation today. We are on the eve of our recognition application. It's a super exciting point to be able to actually start to engage with the UK sports councils on our application. We've been having conversations already and they've been like, all right, we're ready now. So please speak to your friends. There's so many people within our existing community that for whatever reason, and I completely understand everyone kind of has their reasons, are not members yet. So we need to kind of find out why. We need to engage with those people. We need to find out why they're not members yet. This is a community for everyone. It's not, I've heard points saying, oh, I'm not, from competitive racers saying, oh, I'm not a technical racer, I don't think I should be a UKOSF member. It's absolutely not for that. Hopefully we started to show today it's the full spectrum of the sport. And next year we will have our membership obviously continuing. So you will start to see messages in the next few weeks around continuing your membership into 2022 for anyone who signed up in 2020. So because you had your membership for free in 2021, so you'll start to see a note for 2022. Anyone who signed up in 2021, your membership lasts for 12 months. So you'll start to get notified next year. We are hoping to have insurance as part of your membership next year. So that will cover kind of critical cover to kind of help as a kind of added benefit, continue from a membership perspective in terms of discounts and offers, really support you guys. But yeah, I think the most important thing is we are on the eve of something kind of quite historic for our sport. So go out into the community, talk about what we can achieve together. Anyone has any questions, speak to me, speak to any of the board, the technical committees and the other committees. Happy to answer any questions. With that, I want to thank all the speakers today and everyone who's helped put the AGM together, and wish you a wonderful evening and look forward to talking to you all again soon. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, James.